Welcome you all to another session on Essay Perspectives. This is Vinay Kumar GB. Today's topic is urban exclusion of migrant workers in India is a reality and needs urgent, robust policy measures. So, friends, you are reading, looking about migrant crisis in India thanks to the lockdown imposed due to COVID situation in India. So we are seeing disturbing images of migrants walking hundreds of kilometers, in some cases thousands of kilometers. And recently, around 15 migrants were run over by a goods train. They were torn into pieces on the railway track. And then there are images of these migrants dying of hunger in different places of the country. So this begs as a question that urban exclusion, is it a reality or a myth of migrant workers? And indeed it is a reality, as we will see in the discussion. And also it needs urgent robust policy measures. So you have to notice the word urgent and robust. It is urgent, at the same time robust. So the topic implies that there is a lack of policy which is meant to protect the interest of the migrant population. So which is actually true. So both lack of policy is a reality and urban exclusion of migrant workers is a reality. So you will have to bring so many dimensions within each part of the essay. So within urban exclusion of migrant workers, there can be 10-15 different dimensions. And then, you know, needs urgent robust policy measures. Within that there can be around 10 different dimensions. So while talking about urban exclusion of migrant workers, so how will you start with the introduction for the entire essay? So in the entire essay, you have to, you can start with fact like, the Constitution of India, Article 19, gives the right to all citizens to move freely throughout the territory of India, to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India. So instead of merely mentioning, the Article 19, so you can be bit sarcastic about it or bit critical about it. So the Constitution merely mentions any citizen can move freely throughout the territory of India to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India. So we know that the each provision of the Constitution are not isolated parts. So they should be read with other parts of the Constitution. So here one can move freely, but there should be guarantee of safety. So is safe migration guaranteed either by the Constitution, either by the government? And then when they migrate and settle in other parts of the country, territory of the country, so is their dignity guaranteed? Are their rights protected? So these are the questions. Some people might just mention the Article 19 and just say that continue with the essay. But whenever you make a point, whenever you use a fact, so try to be analytical and critical about usage of the fact. So with respect to the topic. Now, in the introduction, you can be critical about urban diversity. So, in economic angle, migration is a very desired factor. So they say that it brings lots of development. It is kind of economic equalizer. It brings cheap labor to the industries, cities where they can thrive. And once these people go back to their villages, something called social remittances, they take back whatever they have learned in the urban spaces with respect to the high standards of living, high expectations, anti-feudal mindset. So some of these things. So in a way, social and economic aspects are very important, but the what is worrying is that the government has accorded least priority to migrant issue, especially migrant labor's issue, both in terms of economic and social angles. So that comes under the policy things. So basically, keeping all these things in mind, you should write an introduction. And other way of writing introduction can be quoting, the recent train accident, any disturbing trend, right? So give a very vivid picture, in the mind of the reader. An imagination should come into picture, where they should empathize with the way you are giving the picturizing the situation. And there are other facts, with respect to migration itself. So we go with 2011 census. So in 2001 there were 309 million internal migrants. So whatever we are talking about, it is about internal migration. So between rural to district, district to district, and interstate migrations. And in 2011, 450 million people internally migrated, right? So here within that, interstate is very less. So it is around 12% in 2011. Within district it is 62%. Between district it is 26%. And within this 26% of inter district, one can easily guess that most of the migration takes place towards the capital city or any economic powerhouse within the state. So that is unequally distributed. So these are some of the facts, but again, as I said earlier, while giving these facts also, you should be bit critical. So what can be the critical angle here? So the critical angle can be with respect to the magnitude of the number itself. For example, if 450 million people are migrating, so you can comment on that. Comment that when nearly half of the population is migrating, so how can government be ignoring them, indifferent to their interests and plight? So like this you can quote. And there are other figures like 4% of the population, and in 2020 it can be, the 450 million can be somewhere around 600 million, just a guess. So you don't have to make the guesses. If you have a data, you can mention that. So you can use these in the introduction part. Now coming to the very core of the essay. So my urban exclusion from what? So I just made it as tangible and intangible. So first of all, they are excluded from the policy itself. The government policies, government schemes, government welfare schemes, projects, plans, even 5-year plans, Niti Aayog plans, they have largely excluded migrant population. They are not of a deep interest. These people are second class citizens, both for the government and both for the rich people living in the urban areas. So ironically, actually these cities are built by these migrant workers, but these people live in such a miserable conditions. Nobody cares about them. It is like as if they don't exist. These people are invisible workforce that actually runs the country. So 80% of the population is in the informal sector. So nobody cares about them. Our labor laws are against them. Our factory laws are against them, and everything is favoring the rich and people who can lobby around. And that is because these migrant people are excluded from the policy purview. Basic necessities, basic services like food, ration, clean water, sanitation. So if somebody, see, the government wants to build bigger cities like Singapore, Hong Kong and all. So but it doesn't care about giving them food, ration, clean water, sanitation. This is mainly because of the failure of the governance, where our government institutions, which have responsibility of taking into account these people, do not count these people, because the rules and regulations say that go with the 2011 census. So 2011 census has the record of the people who permanently live in a place. When somebody comes, which is the migration is a very fluidic process. So they flow regularly every day, every hour in the country. So they are not considered, and the provisions of water, food, sanitation, nothing reaches them. Then housing is a distant dream, so that is not given to them. So they end up living in a slum and creating a slum. So government benefits, especially social protection, social security measures, because these people lack domicile certificates, because these people lack certain identity cards, which are of highest priority for the government. So hope you people as an IAS officer, look into these things. These are very important aspects. We shouldn't send back any single person just because they lack certain identity or identity card. Now imagine with coming into picture of identity cards based on religion and all, what will happen to these people? And they are excluded from the identity. I mean, identity here means they may have caste identity or religious identity, but individual identity. So urban spaces do not give them opportunity to develop, cultivate unique identity for these individuals, right? So they are always oppressed, they are always kept in their places. And even when it comes to police, when it comes to other law enforcing agencies, so they look at these people as somebody who are expendables. That is the word. These can be dispensed easily with. So you can just ignore them, and you treat them harshly, and they are the victims. I mean, I'll come to victims of other part. And then there is no dignity, right? So they cannot live in a very dignified manner, so they lack rights, the major being the legal rights. If they are victims of certain crimes, certain exclusions, which are which they actually are entitled to because of the constitution or the rules and regulations, so there is no legal right, legal representation is lacking. And they are not a priority during disasters, so they are excluded from disaster managements. So these migrants, that is what happening with the COVID situation. And I mean, nobody cares about them, nobody wants to give them trains, private vehicles, government vehicles. How difficult it is, for example, in Bangalore during this situation, nearly 6,000 buses were stopped from commuting. So that is only in Bangalore, so from BMTC. And then state transport, there were maybe around another 5-6,000 buses. So why not use these buses to help these migrants, at least inter-district migrants, to go to their own places? So that was not done. So it was done only few days ago, and that too, these people wanted to charge these migrants. Imagine, I mean, they have spent us more than a month without food, without money, without work, and again you want to charge them. That is the double the charge of normal prices. So I mean, you exclude them policy, and then again you harass them like this. Then the major exclusion is education. So हिंदी मीडियम आपने देखा होगा, तो RTE, right to education, the private schools don't want these people because they are second class citizens, and they kind of pollute the rich children. Healthcare, so that is what, like, we don't know how many people are dying because of COVID, the migrants. Even if somebody dies, nobody will care, they will just categorize it as some pneumonia case, some normal flu case. They'll just, write them off. So that is what happening with the exclusion of health. And another important, political representation. So these migrants lack political representation. See, these are all part of urban exclusion, right? So political representation, because they don't have capital, capacity, or certain skills to be in the political process. So politics is more or less kind of feudal in India. So power, prestige, money, everything is held by certain individuals, and it is dynastic in nature. So it's very uh, rare for any normal migrant to climb up the ladder of politics, represent them in a very powerful position. So the kind of, do we can you name the ministry that is responsible with providing the rights and all the facilities to migrants? You cannot recall because there is no specific ministry, or they are like obscure departments, ministries which just exist on the paper, and which are not given enough funds by the government also. And then there is the banking services, credit services. So this is also an exclusion. So for every point here there can be different dimension. Try to give a vivid picture, example, fact for all these. And then because of this very nature of exclusion, they become the victims of organized crime, urban apathy, government apathy, inequality, disasters, diseases, economic slowdowns. They will be the biggest victims. And then they are victims of hazardous work spaces, cultures, and harassment, and domestic violence. So there are so many things. So you will have to bring these into the core of the essay, and these form actually part of the policy solution. So while talking about the policy, first, the mainstreaming of migration or migrants must be the priority. So you include them in each and every document prominently, uh, by giving the priority to the migrants' interest. So that is not been done. So it is always reserved, in the last chapter or a footnote. So that mainstreaming is important. So that is how you now that is being done through Twitter and influential people, because of the ongoing incidents. The media is doing that, mainstreaming the interest of the migrant workers, but the government needs to do it on priority basis. So sector wise, the construction, textile, transport, mines, domestic quarries and all, they employ huge number of these migrants. So there is no social security net, or there are no clear cut rules about how to treat these people, what kind of provision should be made to them. So that obligatory rules do not exist. So that is again because the lobbying by the construction industry, so that is booming at the cost of the health and the blood of a rural migrant, I mean totally at the cost of these people. And within these migrants there are children. It is estimated around 150 million out of these 409 million are children actually, and there are women also. So what about interest of these people? The policy should consider them. And of course housing, education, healthcare, all these things must be considered. And then with respect to social remittances, in the beginning I mentioned it, social remittances should be accorded a priority, recognize it, and encourage migration. You can encourage migration only by providing better facilities in the urban areas. So strengthening Narega, strengthening credit access, strengthening food security, then again sensitizing the governance, making sensitive governance an important part of this will all help bring better migration, internal migration, and equitable distribution of wealth. So these people also, with respect to apart from social remittances, they also bring lots of money to their villages. They send back money and they buy TVs, refrigerators, they build new houses if they are paid well in their urban places. So ultimately it is the responsibility of the government. So recently I saw a disturbing in an NDTV interview where the migrants were telling that they will never ever go back to these cities. So that is the kind of frustration. It's not even frustration, it is like most of them are having only one meal per day and walking hundreds of kilometers with their children on their shoulders, more than one children. I mean, these are disturbing things. uh, but hopefully from now onwards the government stops just giving these packages. So package, you know thousands of crores or lakhs of crores of money through packages is not a permanent solution. It's not a policy solution. It's a just a temporary solution again, just to uh, appease or placate the anger. These are not again meant to garner sympathy or votes or something like that, but not permanent solutions. So to bring back all these migrants back to cities, unfortunately most of them will come back because there is huge rural distress, agrarian distress, farm distress. So they will come back despite their hate towards cities. So when they come back with the hate and the anger to these urban spaces, imagine what will happen, right? So think, see, throughout the essay, somehow you have to display empathy and concern towards this huge vulnerable population. So this is a vulnerable section of the society. So that will help you come up with very genuine, original essay. So hope this was helpful. Wish you all the best. Take care. Thank you.